All right, welcome back for another week of throwing shade at Cramer, and we got a few call outs to definitely throw some shade on the guy. And then he went and spoke about a retail gem that has been making us all kinds of money, and now it's not. So we'll start with Zim. I guess you mentioned it last night.
He did, and that's a name he's been pretty consistently negative on throughout the years. And last night he flipped on it. I mean, look at the chart and look at how much it's gone up. So of course he's going to have flipped on it. But I know a bunch of retail guys have been making a ton of money in this name, so that's
Yeah,
unfortunate for them. They'll have to find something new.
I'm one of them, and yeah, I'm pretty much flattening that position as we speak. But it's just been a rip since $7, and we peaked at 15, and then Kramer opens his mouth and I'm like, damn it, man, give it the Kramer kiss of death. Looking at the sector though, I mean, it's still confirmed rotation. It can consolidate here for a while. I'd love to see it pull back to like 1350. Maybe Kramer did us a favor where we can take our profit and wait to get back in on a trend if it breaks out. But for now, man, he had to flip on it. I'm sorry. It happens.
All good things.
That's right. All good things must come to a Kramer end. But I'm not throwing shade on him for that one. Yes, I might take it as a favor because I've been sitting here in this thing, trading it off and on and scalping the bull moves on it. And it's time to maybe take some risk off anyway. So, all right. Thanks, dude. Thanks, but no thanks. Uh, Moving into the list, I mean, he was pounding the table on a couple buys, and then there was some other stuff he was not so sure about. So let's get into that. First off, he was talking about, and this is another Kramer kiss of death move. He said buy, quote unquote, on the lightning round for Devon Energy, and I'm just like, all I see is a nice short setup. What are your comments on that one?
So, I mean, I actually kind of like the chart. I've been short XOP, which is the other energy ETF. We covered it yesterday. I'm not long Devon. I'm long Chevron and Exxon. I do kind of like it here if it's sitting right on the 10-day if that holds. But I mean, there's so much going on right now in the Middle East, and none of it makes a ton of sense for oil. I mean, I think there are better places. I mean, I'm only in Chevron and Exxon just because I like diversification and they're small positions, but I just think they're better places to be right now than energy.
Agreed. I mean, I'm kind of looking at the possibility of some later rotation in the middle of the year on energy in general. This is kind of the time of year where I start looking for stocks to wheel trade when I'm doing the options income strategy. And I also take a couple curveballs, a couple of energy penny stocks are starting to look nice, but they just need a little more options flow to be worth doing. For people who are just learning how to run that income strategy, it's just a very low risk position to grab. And heck, there's one of them you can have for literally about $300 risk total. You can wheel trade one contract at a time on it. REI, Ring Energy, but just needs a little more options volume and some rotation in the sector to be usable for a training tool. But in the mix, like I don't tend to run with a lot of the refiners, and for the sake of I like to file my taxes early. I stay away from the LPs because I hate waiting for a K1 that shows up on like April 10th. So I kind of get deterred from some of those, but he came out and said buy to a caller. He said buy DVN, buy. And I'm just like, okay. If it breaks this level around $42, I could see it as a short, and it can go a full measure move down to the bottom of a previous liquidity zone in the short term. Maybe this isn't the best energy stock for an example, and any kind of sign of rotation. To me, this looks a little bit more like market structure. The company was hyped; it's starting to be capitalized now. We'll see. But in the meantime, I'm looking at a bearish setup, in my opinion. And if I see it start to crack that 42, I'll start targeting 38, just on my notes. Can I take that with a grain of salt on an LP? Sure. He also mentioned an energy transfer was another one. I've
Yeah,
kind of,
he's like that. He's like that one for a while. Devon, he's been negative on, but energy transfer, he's like for a while.
and I can see that. I mean, moving the product is going to be like being in retail. Retail, you're going to know how to make money as long as you manage a company well. Whether prices on the product go up or down, you don't really care. You're just moving it from A to B. You're charging a fee for service. So in this, I saw a nice little bullish measured move set up. It broke a liquidity zone. It's got an upward target of like 1490 on this breakout for the weekly. But the monthly tells me that there's going to be some resistance in this area, and maybe we'll come back over and test it for support later on. And then if all hell breaks loose, I could be long on this. But again, I try to avoid the LPs because I hate waiting for those tax forms, man. They just drive me
Yeah.
nuts. If it pays a decent dividend, okay, but this is like it's an okayish yield, but it's not something that attracts me very much. So like, sure, you could go and if it's optionable, you could certainly make some options income on something like this. But again, I'm not a fan of LPs just because I hate waiting for those stupid K1s, man. uh, as far as energy goes, though, I mean, he did top tick a couple of them, and yeah, I'm kind of looking to be somewhat skeptical on some of the stuff he's called out on the buy table. On the Cramer sell, I didn't really hear him saying sell much. Have you?
No, he really hasn't said sell very much lately,
And
which is interesting with the market coming down. But
And about the only thing he mentioned was the other week he mentioned Tesla as a sell, and I'm just like, well, yeah, cool.
well, so he's now calling. He's saying Tesla is not part of the Magnificent Seven. Either
Uh,
replace it with Lilly. 2 nights ago, he came out with Significant Six with
wow.
Tesla coming out.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought Tesla bottomed the other day, but
Yeah.
not. And we're still seeing every single day money coming into Tesla T.
Yeah.
But
It's still got flow. I've been
I
watching.
mean, every day we're getting in like at least $10 million into that thing. But yeah, the stock just can't catch a break.
Truth be told, I've been scalping the bull side of that one on the rebounds, but yesterday was I was waiting for it to find a bottom and get long, and a second time in a day. I was calling out Tesla at 192, I think was my target just before FOMC, and it nailed it. It hit the target and kind of rejected there. Um, but I didn't get in on the second hop towards the close there where I could find that bottom. But I'm looking at potentially a reversal in this area. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh man, EV's dead. The market share is drying up, and blah 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 blah." But if you watch the video that we put out just before earnings on Tesla, there's a lot of things behind the scenes and beyond the automotive industry that are going on in that company. And I can kind of see between the lines, I can see Elon's vision of this thing where he's going to start looking into the humanoid autonomous robots, and he's got a factory to prove them in and
Yeah.
test them in and design and build them in. The concern is that he's going to subsidize that company or turn it into a subsidiary and take it private, keep it out of Tesla. I'm like, why the hell would he do that when the bot is named the Tesla bot? I mean,
Mhm.
you know, kind of a no-brainer. And then he comes out and says, "I want a controlling stake in the company. He wants to get back above that 25% ownership again." I kind of see between the lines. I know there's a lot going on in the background. I know that the big three are having just fits with the electric vehicle industry. Toyota's knocking on the door of going hydrogen power and even hydrogen hybrid. You got Toyota out with the solid state battery, and Toyota is sharing technology with Tesla, and Tesla's sharing technology with Toyota. And I can see some design, or not design, production changes happening in Toyota, and I can see some design changes happening in Tesla for that. So I almost wonder if Toyota is going to be forthcoming and come out with, hey, we'll lease the technology for our solid state battery development to Tesla. That'd be a leap forward in the electric vehicle industry, and also much more resistant to the cold weather situations that the current Teslas have. So maybe there's some bread to be had later in the year. And I even stated, and I can mark my words, I could see Tesla doubling by the end of the year if that all comes out and everything falls in place. But in the meantime, just wait, be patient, and sit tight and wait for a reversal. At one of these points on these key pivot areas, it will eventually reverse and give us some bullish momentum again. Then again,
And also, I mean, the thing about Tesla with Elon Musk is it's almost like a meme stock at this point. And I mean, if you see, I mean, you don't see this with other stocks. The Tesla bulls are rabid.
yeah,
Regardless of the stock price, they are out there. And I mean, I don't post anything negative on Tesla, but I know, sometimes people do. And I mean, it's like posting something positive on Trump. You get attacked.
right. I gotta see that. It's like having Cramer talk about something. Suddenly, it brings our scrutiny. Same thing, you know.
Yeah.
You get into it, and yeah, bottom line, they're ravenous. I mean, you can see the upswing momentum is always so much stronger than the downswing momentum from about the beginning of 23 or beginning of last year on. You can see that, but then also you can see when the shorts come out, man, they can get some force on too. Let me zoom out. I mean, you can see that there was some steep sell-offs in there as well, and we've got one leg here. Worst case scenario, Tesla drops down to a buck 50, buck 40 again, and the bulls will just take it right back up. You know this. So if the news dominoes fall into place and everything starts to work out, where the Tesla bots are running the factory, and yeah, it sucks for the workforce, they have to lay them off, but hey, profitability is job one, and protection of capital is always something you want to do if you run a company. I think they could turn it around, and I also think that if they do, GM's going to be on the wrong side of that. They're going to start to lose a lot of market share in many ways. So, going to be some interesting stuff happening this year in the automotive industry as well as the autonomous industry with AI and robots and all that happy stuff. There's going to be an absolute um, pinnacle moment in time in our lifetime for this change into autonomous production of many, many different manufactured goods. So it's coming. There's some things happening. It's all in the works, and Elon's mind is all the gears are turning. So we'll see what comes out of this. Um, Moving on, he was. I know Cramer was saying, kind of giving a hold vibe on a couple things. He didn't really say buy it or sell it. He just said he wanted to kind of wait and see. One of them was this Digital Ocean company. I don't know what to make of this darn thing, but that gap is unmistakable. And we approached it and broke over, came back to consolidation. I wonder if this might turn into a long later or not. But for the time
Yeah,
being,
I mean, I like it here. I mean, you look, it had an undercut and rally above the 200-day. Same thing on the 50-day.
it's got
I
all the
mean,
markings.
what's that?
It's got all the markings of a potentially great
Yeah.
breakout trade and a gap fill run into that previous high. And it's sitting right in the level where this is going to take shape very quickly. So watch this wedge. Once this price starts to fall out of this wedge on either side, you'll get a breakout. Bulls or bears will have it. But I'm liking the
Yeah.
setup for the bulls. It definitely has some strength to it. Um, for for a guy like Cramer to come out and say, I don't know what to make of it, or I guess I should just rename this Cramer Hold to Cramer I don't know, because he doesn't know what to make of this, and he'll say things like, "Oh, this company's losing all kinds of money, blah blah blah," or "This company's, I don't like the management, or I don't like what they do, or I don't like this company, or something like that." Really, what he's saying is, "I don't know." And when you look into it, hands down, price action wins every time. We know the chart never lies. The chart doesn't care. It just, whatever the investors feel about it, that psychology is right in front of us. And so far, they're looking pretty bullish, at least in the midterm, on this particular equity. And you know, it's one of those in the digital world where all the market capitalization's already happened, all the structure's there. We're consolidated. We're waiting for a move. So wait and see. If you get a bull move, man, it's gonna be one hell of a move. Give you a nice big swing. But be patient with this one. I think Cramer's I don't know is going to be flipped later on when this thing breaks out, and I almost promise you he'll end up top ticking it.
Yep, always does.
Kind of difficult. So we'll wait and see on this one. I don't know what he said about it in the past. Maybe he top ticked this move and gave it the Kramer kiss of death here. I haven't looked back far enough.
This is one I don't remember him ever talking about, but this is also the type of company that typically he's going to sell on.
Agreed. He might be flipping that, and maybe he'll bottom tick it, and we'll reap the benefits and take a bull swing on that. But overall, I'm liking it. It's got a good setup. It's just got to wait for this little wedge to break, and then eventually it'll give us the goods one way or another. I like this chart. I'm going to keep this in my watch list for sure. Another one he was talking about, and this is where the materials sector is starting to kind of show up on the radar for a lot of people. In this MP here, Materials Corporation. I was looking at this move, and there's a nice liquidity zone in the middle. There's a range here. Market structure has done its thing. We're in that expected consolidation zone. We've even seen Bitcoin do this. Come on. If it breaks this range, cool, we get some swing trades. And eventually, if it does things, we saw this in, gosh, what was it, 4, 5, 6 years ago? AMD was doing this when it's trading between like $9, $11, just in a range, and then all of a sudden it takes off and runs back to its previous highs and runs them over like a tank. So can this be an investment company later? Maybe, but for now it's a swing trade, and it's got either a nice bearish measure move set up with this bear flag to break this support and run a little bit lower, or it comes right to the mean. And a couple dollars move on, a $15, $20 stock, that's worth doing. So I'm going to keep my eyes on this one too. And this is another one that goes into Cramer I don't know zone. I'm going to rename that. It's not going to be a Cramer hold anymore. It's going to be a Cramer I don't know.
Yeah. And again, I mean, this is the type of company typically he's not going to like.
Pretty much. And, if it's a tradable chart, I don't care. He can say whatever he wants about it. So I'm going to keep my eyes on this one. It might be interesting in the near future.
You do care. You don't want him to say the direction you want to go.
True. Very true. Yeah, when he did that to ZIM, I was like, okay, a little disappointed, but at the same time, you know what? Maybe it needed that. So I'm a trader, though. I trade the chart. I like the chart. The chart never lies to me. It's very truthful and very fruitful for me. Running into another one he was talking about. I think these guys are in sports betting. Is this the sub company for somebody? Supergroup? SGHC? I don't even know. I haven't even looked at the profile.
I don't remember him saying that. I don't know that name. SGHC?
Yeah, this is one he didn't know about. He's like,
oh, okay. All right. That's why I probably didn't pay attention.
I think he said he liked it, but he didn't like the fact that it doesn't make money. I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, again, this was one where it IPO'd kind of high. Market structure took it well below the low. So like, if you were looking at market structure and this was your consolidation point in a short term on a weekly, and then it ran up, made a mean reversion a little bit beyond, and then pooh, timber, down she went. Now we're consolidating in this range for a while, so this might be a long-term swing coming out of this accumulation as well. It's a trader's chart for now. Perhaps we'll get some swings out of here. Maybe we get above this resistance zone and go back to this previous high. I'm watching it, but it's not something I'm particularly interested in yet until I see this little range break.
Yeah, not my type of stock.
No, it's
no volume, low stock price.
Yeah, it's
chart all over the place.
Under $5 for a reason, guys.
And the volume right now is 100,000 shares. So what is that? $300,000 worth of volume?
Right. I mean, you're just, you can You can swing it if you're in a small account, but if you got to move houses, I don't bother. You know what I mean? It's got an interest for maybe a small account retail trader, but for me, it's a trader's chart, okay, but it's not a high enough volume to really be worth doing, in my opinion. Because I mean, look at the 15 minutes ticky tacky. You can make some moves there. Um, as a trader, if you started with a small account, and I certainly did, you throw the HA candles in there, it'll give you some swings, but it's going to be worthwhile. Are you going to be trading more than a couple hundred shares of this? I wouldn't. It doesn't have enough volume to really move anything in the thousands with success without affecting the price itself. So again, it's one of those. Eh, if Cramer likes it, I don't necessarily like it.
Right.
Uh, Some he said straight stay away from, and I was kind of looking at some of those. Getty was one of the ones last week where I did find no interest kind of setup. But then again, it's got this wedge, so in time maybe it'll be worth looking at. That's all I can say about that one. But this one here, surgery partner, I don't know. Maybe this thing's got a setup. Kind of consolidated here. Not a high volume stock, as you can see. The 2 hours pretty choppy, hard to read. Low volume, of course, but again, it's got a setup where it can make a bullish measured move, just a slow dragging swing trade. Okay, but you're gonna have to take this off in pieces, and that's why you see these wicks. Low volume stocks on a weekly will almost always produce these. And if there are sellers here in the halfway mark of that measured move already, expect them to be there again. And if anybody's got any size in this and the volume's really stupid low, it's going to affect the price itself when you move in and out of those positions. So would you swing trade it? Maybe as a retail trader with a small account, okay, but I'm not going to really mess with it. Another one. This thing I used to scalp when I was like trading with hundreds and maybe a couple $1,000s in my account, but I haven't touched it since. Vodafone. Ugh. He said stay away from this one.
Yeah,
And
this was the one where he said he'd actually recommends Verizon.
yeah, and I've traded Verizon before too. I like to trade it sometimes, but it just doesn't interest me anymore because I got better things to do, bigger range to trade.
Yeah.
So
I don't like this chart of Vodafone. I mean, it's just,
no, it's
yeah.
useless. I made a text note on it. I don't know if you can see it on your screen there. But I wrote meh. Just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll
I
leave it
think
at
I
that.
saw that.
Meh. Not interested. Um, Another one was CRISPR Therapeutics. I don't necessarily like trading volatile type of biopharmaceutical stocks. I don't like them anymore. I used to like them. I used to be able to do very well with them, but now it's just like they're not very interesting to me. But this one almost is. If it gets an outside move through this liquidity zone, it can return to like 89, $90 just on this candle alone. It's a range bar. There's consolidation.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I see what you're seeing here. I'm the same way. I don't like trading biotechs. What I do like is, yeah, anything biotech AI related. I'm pretty close with a guy who's big into the AI stuff, who's convinced that the most interesting area is in biotech, not in the Nvidias of the world. So we'll see.
right, had to mute. My dog's going nuts. Anytime someone comes to the door while I'm doing this stuff. Um, I could see maybe some interest in this later as an outside measured move above that liquidity zone, but it's a pretty easy chart to read. Not necessarily an interesting one, but an easy chart to read. So maybe it'll get a good swing, but kind of watch it. It's on my list of keep an eye on it, but I'm not terribly interested in it. But that's about the end of everything he talked about in the last couple of lightning rounds. And
So
realistically,
what one thing not to forget, because I think it may end up being the most important thing, and it wasn't in the lightning round. Somebody called in, I think, about it during one of the earlier rounds. It's Truist Financial. And with what's going on in regional banks right now, you know, if Jim is telling you to buy a regional,
Yeah.
right there could be, the best money making opportunity ever. Um, there's a reason why we launched Scree when we launched it.
I can't remember that.
I think this whole, what happened in 2003 didn't get fixed. It got glossed over
Right.
by, a loosening of financial conditions. You're seeing the commercial real estate stuff rear its head again. That hasn't gone away. It just popped up in Japan also. And the scary thing about NYCB is it wasn't just commercial, it was also the multifamily stuff that nobody's talking about as an issue.
Whew.
But, these banks, have people managing their risk who, have never seen an environment where interest rates aren't zero.
Right.
And, this could end up being a big mess. Obviously, I prefer Scree, but if Jim is actually singling out a regional bank, that could end up being some free money.
Good point. And yeah, man, that thing, I was just looking at that New York bank. That thing was absolute trash, man. It got destroyed. And then I
And
couldn't,
that was a Cramer fave. I mean, HBAN has always been the one he likes the best, but NYCB was number two. And he was right. During 2023, it didn't go down as much as some of the others did. Obviously, not like Silicon Valley Bank, which Kramer told you to buy. But so the fact that a quote unquote stronger one is getting its butt kicked like this, I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire.
right. I couldn't remember the ticker for Truist Financial.
EFC.
TFC.
Yeah.
There it is. And, I was just telling you earlier, I bank there, but I wouldn't invest in it. And I can see there is a broadening pattern at the top of a big old bull channel here. So,
And,
kind of,
and again, the thing with these banks is you could decide not to bank there in 5 seconds.
yep,
I mean, if you've got an account at a money center bank, you could move all your money out right away.
absolutely.
And so, stuff like this, I mean, it's a lot like the investment banks. I mean, I remember when Bear Stearns went under, one day they're fine, and that was another Jimbo.
Yep.
One day they're fine, and the next day they're toast. Because once you've lost confidence, people can move money out very, very quickly.
Right. And I know, back when I actually worked in a bank as a branch manager trainee for World Savings Bank. That was back in 2002 to the end of 2002. And I saw the writing on the wall. I mean, they were pushing those adjustable rate mortgages like nobody's business, and they were pushing it to people who could barely qualify at the introductory rate. And I knew, like, if the rates changed even half a point, these people were going to default. I could see it right in front of me. And sure enough, things went south, and people ended up, causing the whole 2008 thing. It started winding up from that time period. Here we are, move forward. We got the regional banks failing, different reasons, obviously, but just poor investment choice. And like you said, these people are not used to an environment where the interest rate is low or nil or zero.
Right.
So what are they going to invest in? Well, they're going to take and put it into high risk things, obviously. And well, before it was subpar or subprime loans. Now they're sticking things in things they don't even understand. And I'm just like, how the hell do
And,
these
and
people even get there?
it's not just that, it's also, they've got their money in treasuries
Right,
and you've got to kind of move out on the curve to get more and more and more yield. So it's not as much. So back in 2008 it was the credit risk.
right,
Now it's the duration risk, where if treasuries get their butt kicked, these guys are losing money. They're not hedged.
right.
They may be okay on the credit risk part. They're not on the duration risk. But then all the stuff they've got on their portfolio is all crap. So it's a
Yeah,
tough business model, and they are not too big to fail. So
Right.
like, if Wells Fargo starts having problems, they're going to get a bailout. Wells Fargo is not going to go to zero,
Right.
but Truist, New York Community Bank, nobody gives a crap. They're going to have their assets sold for pennies on the dollar to Jamie Dimon.
Pretty much. And then the other favorite from Cramer was HBAN, and that was just kind of another thing.
Yeah, that's been one he's liked for a while. I haven't heard him mention it recently, but just the fact, I mean, I was shocked the fact that you've got what's going on in regional banks, and he had the guts to tell someone to buy a regional bank.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Again, like he's gonna pull
yeah,
another,
I mean,
Silicon
if
Valley.
if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it.
That's true. That is very true. And yeah, I can see the writing on the wall for some big shakeups in banking, especially in regional banking. So, maybe SCRI is the way to go. I mean, it's going to leverage it short. Um,
Yeah, up 10% today, up probably pretty close to that yesterday.
nice
So
moves,
so far so good.
and it's just getting going. It just opened not too long ago, so good
I
stuff
mean,
there.
we started it like 2 weeks ago. And the cool thing about being an ETF issuer who's also a trader is, I mean, I can time the stuff that I launch, and
Right.
I mean, so far pretty decent timing.
I have a friend from my old town when I lived in Montana. Um, he is an attorney, and back for the swing into the regional bank failure that we had recently, he was shorting XLF, I think it was, is what he wanted to short, and I was kind of like, well, there's other opportunities in regionals like KRE, and I think if it had existed then, it would have did very well back then as well. But now it's like there's an opportunity where you've got this leveraged ETF that you can just ride with shares. You can trade it after hours. So when something like Silicon Valley Bank breaks loose again on earnings and starts ripping down in the after hours, now you have some leverage you can use on it that is tradable in the after hours. Whereas everyone else is going to be running put options or call options, and it's like,
Right, which you
you
can't
know,
do after hours. Yeah,
exactly.
which is why I like launching 2x stuff,
It's
because yeah, you can't trade the options after hours, so it gives you the most leverage that you can get, because you can't do 3x in the US anymore.
and that's where guys like me come in, and like I can do 3x with that because of the style of trade I run on it. So like I'm looking for when the options volume's right, I'll run long equity on those leveraged ETFs and then sell both cash covered puts and covered calls on it and triple my income on it basically. So, but again, after hours, I can't really control the options after hours. So I'm kind of like
Right.
taking risk on doing that. But for the most part, if I get assigned on either side, I'm going to make it anyway because my cost basis goes down as the premium I earn goes up. Um, in the long run, I can see myself wheeling just about everything in your ETF portfolio that does that for me. In the short run, I've got a few others on, and like I'm running one I just opened yesterday. I sold some cash covered puts on AMD, but they're out of the money. I could buy them back for almost an 80% return today to close them. That's overnight. Um, that stuff works, but like if you're running the wheel trade on something that is leveraged, you've got to have a good means of being able to keep your cost basis below the price curve. So like if it is slightly bearish for a little while things aren't quite moving for its leverage direction, sure you can start to accumulate as well in those situations, but you've got to be cautious that big moves will happen. Some people learned a little bit about that with TSLT here. A lot of them, there's a lot of flows still coming into that, and even though Tesla's kind of bottomed, it's got a potential where it can go lower. So when the options volume comes into that, same. It's cheap enough to buy now because Tesla's down. I can run into a slightly bullish trend on that and use the wheel trade strategy to just kill it. And then I turn a 2x ETF into a 3x just like that. So for me, it works.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I'm an options guy. I mean, I'm just buying puts and calls for the most part, but I'd rather, buy calls on TSLT because it's way easier to control kind of your position size than it is on Tesla.
Right.
And I mean, and same thing for NVDX. And we're working on, we should have options on AAPX, MSFX, and GOOX, and SCREE shortly. We're working on that all morning.
Yeah, like I said, once those come out, once they start to gain some volume, dude, I'm all over it. And I was looking at probably the halfway point because I look at what I call natural yield. So if I'm an option seller and I'm selling out of the money options, they're like typically two strikes out from price, sometimes three, depending on how volatile the equity is in the underlying. But I run a percentage on natural yield. So I'll take and compare a monthly option expiration call and put, combine the premium on those, and then run that as a percentage against the outlaying. So like if I've got 100 shares in long in the equity, I'm going to look at the percentage of what the yield is on the natural monthly options. If I just sold them with the expectation of letting them expire worthless or even getting assigned on them. And I run that in a ratio. So typically if I can't make at least an 8% natural monthly yield on any given equity with an options income strategy like that, I won't even mess with it. But the yield currently with where the settlement is, I know the bid ask is a little wide on it because the volume's a little lean on the option side of TSLT, for instance, that even though that is kind of wide and a little lean, I can average 20% or better on a natural yield for monthlies on that thing, which is insane.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and then if I manage it, if I'm running bi-weeklies, if it had weekly options, I would do even better. Or I could swing in and out of the short monthly legs and just roll them from time to time. And I usually can beat that yield by about 50%. So if it's got a 20% natural yield in a month, I can usually do 30 on something like that, just fine. An example is like a wheel trade I did last year, and I might take up again this year. Is OPEN. It has it's in the real estate sector. It's around a $3 stock, and the options yield on that thing inside of 5.5 weeks, I had a zero cost basis just on a premium income from that one in a slightly bullish trend, and then it ran away. I got assigned on the call, and that was that. But it's kind of fun to do because I can take that massive percentage yield and cut my cost basis on an equity like in no time. And there's a few people that understand that, and some of the people I've taught it to were fund managers. So it kind of gets me going to where a lot of retail could really take advantage of that. And for a time, I was like, well, imagine if the Reddit crowd who pumped the crap out of GameStop was to take advantage of an options income strategy. Holy smokes, their cost basis would be zero. They'd be still holding GameStop and making a killing on it and not having to care about anything. What was that? That Roaring Kitty guy made, what was it, 30 some million on that thing after he finally did sell. Imagine if he would have held on to that and just kept the options premium on that. I mean, he would have probably tripled his income by now. Just one of those things. I would love to teach all those apes how to be gorillas in that respect.
Yeah.
And my hat's off to the Reddit communities and all the communities of people who do that kind of stuff in size, and that's great. You can completely stick it to the man, so to speak. But imagine what you could do with just a little bit more knowledge instead of just buying something, being able to sell and generate income on the options premium on those. My gosh, the world changes for you. Suddenly you trade like a fund manager, and that's the idea. So in closing, I think that's kind of something I'm going to start looking into. And then later on, we've been kicking around the idea of taking the show live and just basically replacing Cramer with somebody better. So we would have it where you guys would literally join us on YouTube live and comment in the comment section. Throw us a ticker that you either heard Cramer talk about, or Cramer said buy, Cramer said sell, something like that. We'll just do the analysis for you live on the screen and be like, hey man, yes or no. Pretty simple. We're not financial advisors, but we can show you the tech analysis and be like, hey, this is what we would do. we can do that. So, I think in the coming weeks we're going to do that, and this will be exciting to do. We just got to pick a time slot to do it in. We'll make it work. What do you think?
I think that's great. One thing we'll need to figure out is what he actually says introducing the lightning round, because
Right.
I've never really been able to discern what it is he actually says there.
True. He just kind of goes on a wild tangent, and then he'll take a call, and someone will ask him something. He'll throw something at him, and then he'll go
Well,
and
no, when he introduces it, he
oh,
says
right.
like I know he says ski daddy, but there's something else that I've never quite been able to discern.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, we can open with
Kind of
something,
like
and
a Joe Biden speech a little bit. You're like,
a
wait, what did he say?
little word soup. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
noticed that he's kind of like he talks faster than he can, or maybe he thinks faster than he can talk, or talks faster than he can think. I don't know which, but sometimes it comes out as just a jumble and somewhat of a slur. I've noticed that. I've watched a couple of those lightning rounds. I'm like, what the hell did he just say? Yeah, I feel the same way. Um, I think maybe we just open with just a basic outlook and then go from there. Maybe we'll just do it that way. We'll see if we could take Kramer's place rather than try to completely throw shade at him every week like we've been doing. We'll just replace the
Yep.
guy. That's kind of mean, but
Someone's got to.
someone's got to do it. Well, we'll keep that in mind, and we'll do something to get this going. But I like the idea of doing a live thing and being in the right place. Even Kramer's heart's in his place. We just want to help the masses. We want to help the little guy understand the market and make something of it. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
That's all we could ever ask for. If we can do any of that,
Exactly.
we've met our goal. Right on, man. Well, thanks again. Been a great week. Been choppy. Been great trading the FOMC stuff. I'm kind of worn out from the week. I think I'm just gonna call it a day today, and I might even take tomorrow off. It's just been that busy this week.
Tomorrow's gonna be fun, man.
Yeah, maybe.
Remember, you got 3 Mag 7 earnings tonight. You got jobs tomorrow.
It's gonna be wicked. Maybe I will hang around for tomorrow. Okay, I'll get into some trades. I love trading volatility. I live on that stuff. But man,
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea how it's gonna go, but after what Powell said yesterday, that's an important jobs number.
That's true. That's gonna make some moves. Good point. I think we'll be able to scalp the crap out of tomorrow at the very least, and maybe even catch an outside trend, up or down, going into next week. Okay, I'll stick around. I'm exhausted, but I'll stick around anyway. What the hell? Got to give the brain a good rest tonight. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, again, I
mean,
love
rest
doing
of
this.
the day we may not, but I mean, I think the rest of the day is going to be interesting too. I don't know.
We'll take it as it comes. We just trade a chart that's in front of
Sleep
us.
tonight.
Yeah, I definitely got to get some good sleep tonight and make sure I'm well rested. I think I'm going to crash early tonight. That's a good idea. But again, I love doing this every week, and anytime I can get out and help people, and your heart's in the same place, we get together and help people. We've welcomed you in our community. That's how much we actually appreciate that. So, it's been great. We love doing this, and again, just like, subscribe, hit the bell. Come see us again next week, and very soon we're going to be doing this live. We're going to be doing this for you directly live. So I can't wait. We'll work the details out and get it rolling, or maybe we'll just do it without working the details out. I don't care.
Yeah, I'd rather do ready, fire, aim.
Sure, that works for me. Right on, man.
Just do it and figure it out later.
That's right. We'll get
Shoot
it
first, ask questions later.
just like we trade the chart that's in front of us, even down on on an FOMC day and trade a 5-second chart. We can shoot from the hip and make it work. I'll do it.
There you go.
Why not? Well, man, it's been awesome, and this has been a great relationship we built together. This is I would call this a friendship, man. If you'd let me, I'm loving this.
Same here.
Good stuff. One day we'll have to get together and have a lunch in Wall Street somewhere and just party this on. That'd be fun. But anyway, we'll see you guys next week, and we'll keep in touch. Thanks again.